First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
An icon is now eligible for sainthood. Coming up, we'll tell you more on the Pope's decree.
And later, the story of how one local girl is changing the lives of those with cancer.
But now, after a warm couple of months, the first freeze of the season is possible tonight. That's our top story. It's December 18th. I'm James Torres.
And I'm Jenna Sands. Thanks for joining us. UF forecaster Rebecca Kopelman is in the Weather Center tracking just how cold we're going to get tonight. Rebecca, I hope it's warm in there, but what areas are going to see freezing temperatures?
Areas mainly to the north and west of Alachua County are under that freeze warning, and that's where temperatures could drop below freezing for at least 2 hours. Columbia, Gilchrist, Suwannee, Baker, and Union counties included in that freeze warning from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. So it will be cold. And even though Alachua County isn't included in that freeze warning, 35 degrees for Gainesville and other areas in Alachua County could possibly see temperatures at or below freezing. 32 Alachua, 31 in High Springs, 32 out in Newberry. But that's not even the worst of it, because it could feel even colder by morning. This is all behind the front we've been telling you about for several days now. And because of the winds behind this front, well, it could feel like freezing or below freezing for much of North Florida Saturday morning. 29 degrees, that wind chill in Gainesville, 26 in Lake City, 27 out in Perry. And I'm sure you're already feeling the differences right now. 16 degrees colder compared to yesterday in Gainesville. And I'll let you know just how long this cold is going to be sticking around later on. Back to you.
All right, Rebecca, thank you. Well, a sheriff's deputy is in the hospital after a shootout during a traffic stop.
Gunfire erupted early this morning in Gifford, Florida, involving a man on a scooter. Investigators say the driver was asked to show his license, but he pulled out a gun instead, prompting the officer to draw his weapon. The suspect took off on foot, exchanging gunfire with the officer. Both were hurt in the gunfight, and the Indian River County Sheriff says this is not the suspect's first encounter with the law.
We know this to be a felon. More recently, he was released from the Department of Corrections after serving 21 years for attempted murder with a firearm. He's a bad guy, and we're glad he's off the streets today.
The suspect was also transported to the hospital, and there has been no word on his condition. A mother in Putnam County has been arrested and accused of child neglect. 34-year-old Laurie Erickson was arrested after a sheriff's deputy found her 12-year-old daughter walking along a road at night. Authorities say the girl was trying to run away to Palatka because she had been left home alone. Deputies say Erickson told them she was in Ocala and left the girl alone often. Erickson was arrested and is being held in the Putnam County Jail without bond. An imprisoned millionaire is charged with offering a hitman almost $100,000 to kill a prosecutor, a judge, and several others. FDLE has served an arrest warrant charging inmate Looms Wheeler with 6 counts of solicitation to commit murder. Wheeler is serving a life sentence for capital sexual battery and child molestation in Osceola County. When that case broke in 2013, Wheeler was best known for founding an Orlando area attraction based around riding stables.
President Obama addressed the nation this afternoon to outline his agenda for the rest of his term. He took some tough questions about terrorism and the massive spending bill Congress passed today. NBC's Edward Lawrence reports.
Here comes the president.
President Barack Obama praised Congress for passing a $1.1 trillion budget deal that includes tax cuts.
I'm not wild about everything in it. I'm sure that's true for everybody, but it is a budget that, as I insisted, invests in our military and our middle class without ideological provisions that would have weakened Wall Street reform or rules on big polluters.
And the motion to concur is agreed to.
Passage avoids a government shutdown.
I wanted to end those kind of rattling experiences that the American people don't like.
On the fight against terrorism,
we're going to defeat ISIS.
The president says his policies have stalled the growth of ISIS.
As we keep up the pressure, our air campaign will continue to hit ISIL harder than ever, taking out their leaders, their commanders, and their forces.
After the deadly attack in San Bernardino, Mr. Obama says he has adjusted security procedures based on what federal agents learned.
We are continuing to work at every level to make sure that there's no slip between information sharing among agencies.
The president says he won't fade away and plans to end his term pushing his long-standing goals.
And in 2016, I'm going to leave it out all on the field.
Edward Lawrence, NBC News, Washington.
Now, the president leaves for a 16-day family vacation in his home state of Hawaii, and on the way, he meets with the families of the victims in the San Bernardino attack. The Florida man who flew his gyrocopter onto the lawn at the U.S. Capitol says he plans to run for Congress. Douglas Hughes says he will run against the South Florida Democrat, however, he won't say whom. His intentions came to light Wednesday when his attorney asked a judge to lift some of Hughes' restrictions so he could pursue his political interest. Hughes, in the meantime, is scheduled to be sentenced next April for his gyrocopter stunt. And the Alachua County Supervisor of Elections office has confirmed the candidates for Gainesville city seats in 2016. Candidates for Gainesville mayor include Lauren Poe, Donald Shepard, and incumbent Mayor Ed Braddy. The District 4 Commission seat will also be on the ballot in 2016, and those candidates are John Human, Adrian Hayes Santos, and Jim Konish. The election is set to take place next March.
2 passengers were roughed up when a South Florida bus hit a building. The Miami-Dade Transit bus collided with another vehicle before slamming into a storefront. No one inside the building was hurt in the crash, and engineers have been called in to check the structural integrity of the building. The Florida Supreme Court is ordering the removal of a Brevard County judge. Judge John Murphy was suspended after an incident last June when he threatened and physically scuffled with a public defender. Murphy is also a veteran, and his filings show the VA considers him 30% disabled from PTSD due to his service in Afghanistan. The recommendation was for a suspension, but the ruling says Murphy may be unreliable as a judge, and that such behavior as a judge is unforgivable.
Around the holidays, we're extra thankful, usually for time with loved ones and maybe some presents under the tree. Now imagine if you'd feel if you were given the gift of life itself. Well, WUFT's Ashlyn Reese met a young woman who does her best to spread that joy year-round.
We all have those defining moments that change the course of our lives. For Cassi Imrie, hers was cancer. A junior health education and behavior major at the University of Florida, Imrie enjoys playing sports, spending time at her sorority, and has recently discovered a new passion.
We are basically trying to spread the word on UF campus of what bone marrow is and how you donate and the importance of becoming part of the registry.
Imrie is now an ambassador for Gift of Life, a program who finds people willing to enroll in a bone marrow registry who may be contacted to donate to a cancer patient. When Imrie was a freshman, her mom was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. She can clearly remember the call she got from her stepdad.
The first thing he told me not to do is Google it, and the first thing I did was Google it because I had no idea what it was. And you know, crazy things come up, like don't ever Google it when you know you're not supposed to.
Imrie's mom was transported to UF Health Shands for treatment, and after 5 rounds of chemo, it was decided she would need a stem cell transplant. Many think the process requires a giant needle to be inserted into the pelvic bone. However, that is not always the case.
Still do that today, but more commonly we collect the stem cells from the blood.
In this procedure, the white blood cells are taken from the donor. The red blood cells and plasma are then returned. Eventually, her mom would find that donor through Gift of Life. This video of her mother meeting her donor is shown at presentations Imrie gives to encourage people to join the registry. Imrie joined AD-Pi as a freshman, and with her connection to the Greek life, she has been able to find hundreds of people to donate to the registry. At a presentation at Pi Kappa Alpha at the University of Florida, 100 men signed up for the registry. Male ages 18 to 25 are the most ideal donors, making the members of the fraternity perfect candidates.
There are too many people out there that are suffering right now and that don't have the opportunity to get matched with somebody.
After the meetings, Imrie takes the swabs, seals them in a kit, and sends it to be processed. The swabbing process involves 4 swabs of the donor's cheek, quick and painless. However, each kit costs $60 to process.
We need a fundraise and we need to earn the money for the people that we swab because it is crucial that you have money to test these kits.
If anyone still needs to be convinced of a good reason to donate, Leah Parker has that reason.
I think about him and I start crying because I seriously, without him, I wouldn't be here today.
Although cancer is not often considered a blessing, for Imrie, it is the silver lining that led her to saving lives. Ashlyn Reese, WUFT News.
Now, Imrie's mother remains in remission this holiday season after a successful transplant. Well, WUFT News First at 5 is just getting started. Coming up in sports, we will cap off the top 10 plays of Florida football and show you which one made number 1.
Plus, the long-awaited Star Wars sequel hits the big screen. Check out the first reactions from last night's midnight screening. Those stories and more coming up after the break.
And no doubt you've noticed the difference from yesterday to today when temperatures were in the 80s. Meteorologist Jeff Huffman and I collected the numbers, and it's quite the difference from yesterday. In fact, temperatures are already falling now. I'll let you know just how long this nice weather sticks around after the break.